Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Eden Town Hall. I think this is our 24th meeting or so. This is Sunday, November 13th. I'm here with Nicola, Lennie, Patrick, and Joachim. This is Joachim's first time on the Eden Town Hall. He's got some exciting progress going on with Hypha and Hypha's integration with Eden. So really excited to have everybody here, especially Joachim. So welcome, and thank you everybody for joining. Thank you for listening. And I think the first thing, there's several topics that we'll probably discuss here, but the first thing is we'll pass over to Joachim and see what is going on with Hypha and Eden. So how's it going, Joachim?
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for having me over here at the town hall. Always a pleasure, to work with you guys. So I'm Joachim here in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm the business development lead for the Hypha DAO project, right? So Hypha, as you know, is an organization that's creating Web3 tools, and one of the biggest projects we have is the DAO tool. And we have started to work on the ENF grant, which is a large-scale grant that is broken down into multiple milestones, right? So we are now reaching the end of milestone 2, which will enable the smart contracts, EOS smart contracts, as well as smart badges and the DGraph integration in the next milestone. But shortly after that, there's a very interesting piece, which is the Eden election process. So we're going to map the Eden election process into the Hypha DAO and make that available to the entire Eden community. And I want to give you an idea of our current thinking, where we want to take that next, and give you a high-level overview. Really, it's not a deep drill down, I think, but we can do it at the appropriate time. Does that sound good?
Yes, that sounds great. Thank you, Joachim. Thanks so much for sharing this. And yeah, I'm happy to go however much detail you think is helpful now. And then we could also do another meeting with more details at another time if you'd like. But however you think is best. I'm very excited to learn, as I think that probably most of the people watching are as well. So yeah, please go ahead. And if you'd like to share a screen or want me to share a screen or anything like that, then feel free to do so as well. Or feel free to let me know.
Great. Yeah, let me share my screen here. And then go a little bit deeper into a high-level overview. So this is my mural board here. And what I'll do is I'll start with this slide here, talking for a minute or two about the basic structure of the Hypha DAO. As you know, for us, it's kind of a vessel, right, to go on the journey, into a space that's really action-driven. It's a collaboration space. We can invite both community members as well as the core team. You see these two important membranes for us here, a community space around a core team at the center. Traditionally, you can see this as a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization at the core, and this is more of a DAC space, decentralized autonomous community. We're combining them now into a single DAO space where you have a coordinated, tightly integrated core team that's working on the projects, right? Working on, activities inside the DAO. And that can be further broken into circles, right? Sub-circles, and then you have members inside these sub-circles, or what we call councils, anchor councils that kind of further coordinate the activities here. So that's the basic structure of the DAO. And you can see also that we're very much looking at building ecosystems within the Hypha DAO, right? Hypha stands for sort of the mycelium in the soil, right? We want to be the connector for a lot of DAOs out there. And you can see, adjacent DAOs, reaching into these or participating in these ecosystems, of DAOs. And this is a space where we're really excited about to get into the DAO-to-DAO communication, value exchange, knowledge exchange that can happen there. So that's the basic DAO structure, but let me switch over to our current thinking on the Eden election process. We've been following that, and as you know, a few of us are members of the Eden community and have participated and I think elected now, right? So I'm following the Eden delegate meetings with Reiki, as one of the chief delegates there. It's fascinating to see what's going on. For me, this is kind of a story of how two important things are coming together. And if you look at this here in terms of this diagram, there's the community here in that outer circle, right? And then there's a more coordinated body, could be founders, could be a core team, could be teams working on projects that are trying to align their work, with each other. And that is really critical for anything, any kind of organization out there. You got to have that alignment before you get into a space of agreement, a space of voting, a space of coming together and moving these solutions forward. So if you look at this at 4 stages, almost like, right, where you have a space where there's no alignment, then community alignment, core team member alignment, and then full alignment. I think that's where I see there's really a high complementary effort now with the Eden election process. And let me show you what that means. So if you take the first step here, no alignment, that means, here's the community. They can go in all kinds of directions, right? And then at the bottom here is a core team that can go all kinds of directions, right? So this would be sort of the most disadvantaged state of any undertaking, right? Misaligned community faces a misaligned core team, right? Without having the right tool sets, without having a DAO, without having a Eden election process. For me, what can happen is, if you take a look at the community space itself, what if you start to align the community, but still facing sort of a misaligned core team, right? That's a step in the right direction, right? To me, what the Eden election process brings into the picture is a way to say, hey, we can actually align the community. They suddenly elect delegates. They have representatives of maybe 100, maybe 1,000 members in the future here, right? In that community space, speaking for the community, having a voice for the community, and pushing important projects forward. Conversely, if you see other spaces, that could be the other way around, right? Where you have a highly aligned sort of core team that is very structured, has a lot of good thoughts and thinking, and they know what they do, facing a community space that's highly misaligned, right? That's a difficult situation too, right? When you reach out and try to, find the support, don't get the support, if you don't have the right tooling in place. That to me is leading to this 4th state, right? What if you have sort of the full alignment between the community, facing a fully aligned core team? I mean, that's kind of nirvana for us, if we can get this. And for me, the tool sets are now here where we can actually enable that. And to me, there's 2 pieces, right? That's the Eden election process, and that's the Eden DAO that we're building now on top of the Hypha platform. And if you bring these 2 together, right, you can come to a really strong agreement space where the community supports what's happening in the projects and vice versa. That to me is sort of the bigger picture of how we can work together. I want to spend, maybe a few more minutes on sort of more details on what would that mean. Here's the chart I put together, where on the left side, you see the current Eden election process, right? So you have the community members coming together and finding the first delegates, right? Who wants to participate in the next election process? So that's the one-day event you have where people are coming together in groups of 4, 5, 6, right? And then find the first level of delegates. That gets into the chief delegate, election, where you have the 4, chief delegates coming out of this, and then the head delegate, right? And here you see how it can play again into this wider community context, right? Suddenly you have these delegates that the entire community has elected, right? And they now have the appropriate voting power, right? To look at what's going on in the space and push certain projects forward, right? So you have this alignment here, right? Between a highly aligned community that is elected through the next, leadership team, and then working that out to come to the next stage of what you want to do in your project spaces. What I wanted to point out here is what if you bring sort of the Eden DAO into this picture here, right? So the Eden DAO would now be a structured space, where you have circles inside the DAO and you have that community context. We call it the community donut around it, right? That supportive donut. For me, there's a very nice mapping going on between, you've elected this leadership team, right? And you're starting to work with this consensus model inside the leadership team. And they suddenly can come up with these community proposals inside the DAO that then are executed through the core teams, right? And that is a different voting mechanism, right? So you've elected the delegates, they now have the voice power. They can come up with these proposals and ideas. The core team on the other side is going through this binary voting process. They have already established a structure, right? There's teams for marketing, teams for development, teams for finance, and they have the tools to really execute on all of this stuff. And that election process is what we've been using at Hypha for quite a long time. That's based on unity and quorum, right? So you need a certain amount of unity and a certain amount of quorum, and then proposals are passed, and then stuff gets executed. So that's kind of the binary pathway of working with a community space that's really non-binary. That's not in a space where you can say it's a yes or no decision. This is much more driven by what the sense making of the community is all about, and what the representatives are thinking and listening in and suggesting for ways forward. So for me, this is a beautiful marriage of two parts here that we could enable with the DAO. One more thing here, I want to also distinguish these different voting methods, right? I've been working a lot with governance at Hypha. And to me, it breaks down into these four quadrants. You have either few proposals, few stakeholders. It's great to have consensus building, right? Everybody's on the same page. Let's move forward. That's great. But as soon as you get into many proposals, right, or many stakeholders, you go into difficulties, right? It's harder to make decisions, to get agreement, right? There are tools like sociocratic consent you can use, or quorum voting. So that's mostly what we're doing now in the Hypha DAO. But if you get into this upper right quadrant, that's the most difficult one, really, where you see many proposals, many stakeholders, and they have to come to some kind of a conclusion here. What do we do going forward? Now, the conviction voting is one tool to do that. But what I see now with the Eden election process is you're actually pulling this whole scenario back into consensus building, because now you're electing, a subset of people as delegates who can come together and build consensus again, right? So you're moving that quadrant actually, or this quadrant, right, up into this upper quadrant, where you suddenly have a tool at your hand that has many proposals, many stakeholders that they can serve, right? And that to me is the beauty of this new process. I see bringing that into the DAO. And finally, the three building blocks that we're working on right now is one is the Eden election process. As you have it, we don't anticipate any change. You're already improving that election process, right, with the bot guides and things like that. We're mapping that into the DAO. We're introducing an Eden consensus method, right, to say here's a new voting method for the DAO. Where the delegates can really run the show, because they are the trusted audience. They're the trusted people who can do that. You've elected them inside the community space. And then thirdly, we want to introduce Eden delegate badges. These are new smart badges for these delegates at the different levels, right? Giving them different voting power. And that's still, sort of mathematical work we have to go through and define these multipliers, right? So that they have enough power to say, yes, our decision is kind of the decision method for everybody else. But we could also, and that's interesting, we can also include the community members here. If we assume they have a voice level of 1, delegates a voice level of 2, right, then 4, and then 16, you could actually work at a schema, a mathematical schema, where everybody is allowed to vote, and it still reflects, the delegates that you've elected in that schema. So fascinating project for me, and this is just an overview, as I said, right? So we're still working on it. This is just where we are currently, and the details are coming later. Thank you. I'll stop here.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Joachim. This is really exciting and really insightful. Thank you for sharing that. I have several questions that I'd be curious to ask you if you have time. Also, I think that Nicola, Lennie, and Patrick probably also have some thoughts too. So if anybody has any thoughts for Joachim, then please share. If not, then I'll ask some questions. Yeah. By the way, we think we're doing a shorter show, and I'm happy to wrap it up fairly soon. But also, there's a lot here too. And while Joachim's here too, I'm happy to go longer and ask these questions if he's available. Everybody's available too. But yeah, Lennie, Nicola, Patrick, do you guys have any thoughts here for Joachim, or is there anything else you'd like to share, Joachim, before I go into my questions?
No, please.
No,
Yeah,
you
it's a good
can
idea.
go
Let's
then.
go.
You can go then.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. So, well, first, I'm wondering about the timeline. So, you and the Hypha team have been working with Eden. You received the grant and the announcement from the ENF sometime, I guess, last month or maybe a month and a half ago. And I heard you saying before that there's different phases, and I think, or I don't know if phase is the word, but I think you might have said we're on phase 2 and there's 4 phases. I think there's a lot more information about this in the blog, but if you could just refresh our memory or just share where is the status and where's the direction that you're going in. So and these things that you showed us, these are all things that you're planning to build and the team started to build so far, or do you have any timeline on how developments will progress from here?
Sure. Yeah, let me step you through the next milestones as I laid out. So I mentioned milestone 2, which is the creation visit of other DAOs. That's the DAO ability to launch other DAOs and the smart contracts that are deployed in EOS. That timeline, I think, is completed end of November, so end of this month. And we're actually completing this a week or 2 earlier. We anticipated November 25, but we should do that by mid-November towards 20th. Then milestone 3 is I mentioned the dgraph integration and the smart badges. That goes into January, I would say mid-January, and that is followed by milestone 4, which is then the Eden democratic process. That is completed by February, around beginning of February, I would say. And that's an interesting point for us too, because we're planning to officially launch Hypha into a beta also beginning of February. And that's also when we hope to make the whole tool suite available to the Eden community. So you can start launching your own DAOs based on the plans that we have, including a freemium plan, right, with your founders team. And then you can start, crunching out and really launching all of these DAOs with the functionality that's available until February, which are really the critical pieces, right? But then there are actually 3 more milestones. There is a milestone 5, which goes into a more ecosystemic approach to that, where once you have all of these DAOs floating around, we need a way to navigate these DAOs, right? Filtering the DAOs and specify sort of proposal types for the different spaces. So we're planning to add policy proposals, quest proposals, community proposals, right? And circle proposals too. That are all part of this much wider sort of space that is opening up. That's followed by milestone 6. That's the template treasury module and more of the redemption processing. So that's treasury related. That's multi-sig for critical decisions that are happening inside the DAO treasury, right? Every DAO has its own treasury, and there's a smart batch for that, and there's a redemption process to claim funds and then process the funds inside the treasury. And then finally, this is getting into milestone 7, which is I think more about payroll, more about salary integration, multilingual stuff, and notifications, a notification system inside the DAO. That rounds it up, but it can be used. As you know, it's already out there. We're using it at Hypha. We've been using it for what 3.5-4 years now. And we're iterating on the solution, right? And we think February is a good point to say we are at beta now. Let's officially launch the thing, and then roll it out to everybody else. Back to you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Joachim. There's some other things we wanted to get to as well, but first I'll also say, one, for anybody who hasn't checked it out yet, Joachim and another member from the Hypha team joined the EOS Network Foundation channel and did a great interview with Zach and Lovejoy were there, I believe. So I recommend people checking that for more details. I'm also curious too, if there's anything in particular, Joachim, that we as Eden members can do to help. I know that there's currently like a beta version or a pilot version that's available that some Eden members have been trying out. Some Eden members have been messaging in the Eden Discord about Hypha. There's a Hypha channel there where people can learn more. And there's a lot coming up in the coming months. If there's anything in particular that we can do to help, then please let us know. But then otherwise, then just looking forward to continuing to collaborate too. And I think that this merging of the Hypha community, Eden community is awesome and will be super helpful for everybody.
Yes, that's great. That's great. We're also doing some thing called a DAO activation process. If you want to get involved deeper into this, that would be good for the Eden DAO, right? I know you're at the very beginning now to understand what this is about, how do we structure that space, create roles and invite members and policies for that. But we're also doing kind of a new track within Hypha to say we need to help a lot of teams to get up to speed, what's possible in these new DAO spaces, right? For that, we created the DAO activation process. And I would love to talk to you guys about how we can accelerate that. It's like a mini accelerator program, really, for a DAO. Something that, you know, you guys are doing with Helios, which is great. But this is specifically geared towards the DAO.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks so much. And feel free to reach out. Please feel free to join us back again on the town hall at any point. And then feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help. And I think many people in the community will be really excited about this as well. So thank you, Joachim. And also another time when we talked to, there were some other questions. We're on kind of a relatively shorter timeline, just to respect everybody's schedules. But at some point, I'd love to ask you just about your personal experiences with Eden so far and just in life in general. From what I've heard, everything you said with Hypha sounds great, but I'd be curious what you think as a new Eden member and also where you come from, all sorts of things like that. Curious to get to know you more. And then also I'm curious about how Hypha and Edenio will work together on all these as well. And then I'm curious to look more at that mural board too and check it out too. So if you want to just provide any quick answers to that, then I'd be happy to. Or then if not, then we also have a bit of news about the Eden Fractal and the Eden Brainstorming Sessions that we can pass it to Patrick as well to introduce. Is there anything else you'd like to respond to there, Joachim, before we move on? Or shall we save it for another time?
Yeah, let's save it for another time. That's plenty already, right? So we can continue that.
Okay, cool. Sounds great. Thank you. Lennie and Nicola, I think that, Oh, please, Nicola, go ahead.
Can I go next? Or maybe, Lennie, if you have a question, go on. But could I go next? Because I'm going to have to go after that. But yeah, Lennie, go on. Ask.
Yep, sounds good. And Lennie, you just asked a question in the chat. Do you want to ask that to Joachim? All 7 milestones included in the ENF grant?
That's a yes.
It was basically quickly. Yeah, okay, good, thanks.
All included.
Okay, awesome. So, Nicola?
Yeah. So this week we've been swarming, kind of we did some 7 swarms. And one of them that I wanted to point out, it's one that we did for Bywire News. And this is basically an interview between Michael O'Sullivan and Dan Larimer. So I encourage you to check that out. We will announce next week a new feature in our swarms and an improvement. And so, yeah, so we keep working. So thank you for Bywire because they have been a real good client. They have been helping us a lot, asking swarms, and they believe in us. So thank you to them. Also, thank you to Nova Crypto and Patrick also, of course. So yeah, we are keeping working. We keep building. And so yeah, next week we're gonna have an announcement to make. So yeah, that's all I can say for now. Thank you, guys. I have to leave you there and have a good day to everybody.
Okay, bye. Great. Thanks so much, Nicola. And yeah, recheck out that interview. That interview was super insightful. And thanks so much, Nicola, and all the bees as well. Have a great day.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
All right. So, Patrick, would you like to introduce or discuss the brainstorming sessions a bit? We're starting these brainstorming sessions in 2 days now. On the 15th of November. We also have a date change or a time change rather for the Eden Fractal too that we can briefly introduce as well. But Patrick, would you like to take it from here?
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, we can introduce here the Eden Fractal Brainstorming Session. First of all, that's a complementary meeting of 1 hour time frame. So that's 16 UTC on the November 15 until 17 UTC. That's a proof of concept. So 3 times we will do that until the 13th December. That's supposed to be every 2 weeks. So do not mix too much with the Eden Fractal meetings that are on the Wednesday. at 16 UTC2 with 15:30 UTC to let the people come in and then begin the meeting on time at 16 UTC. So the fractal brainstorming session, that's something else. That's to have the time to brainstorm and very focused and aligned between us with the proposals that were introduced onto the Eden Fractal meetings. So I will share the screen and do a little explanation. So we have on the Bywire, we have introduced this article that's named Brainstorming Activities, but in the context of Eden Fractal, that's entitled Eden Fractal Brainstorming Sessions. So that's a POC, proof of concept, and I will co-host that with Dan Sinjoy here, so of the Eden Fractal meetings as the creator, we can say, of the Eden Fractal meetings. With me, so of MindWeb, I will do those meetings co-hosted, and basically we will share around a mind map. And this mind map is here, already prepared on the screen here, and is published on mindweb.io as a HTML page. So it's Eden Fractal Proposals.html. And on the left of the brain, that's all about meta information. You have branches that are pointing directly to Discord, to Consortium, to bulletin board the services, Eden Talk, the tooling, the Eden Fractal updates. So that's the meta information. And on the right, if I focus a little bit on the right, here we have different category branch. So we have Eden creators with the agendas where this is the place to go and see what were the agendas that were proposed for the Eden Fractal. We have Eden plus Fractal. It's all about improvement. So if I click improvement, I have notes coming. And during the session, I will extend those notes. Here is just an example. When we speak about improvement of Eden plus Fractal, we speak about how we vote through Google Spreadsheet, on-chain. There are different ideas that were raised onto the last Eden Fractal meeting. So we will update directly the mind map. I will update the mind map directly online when we are onto the brainstorming session. I am the secretary. I can say I update the mind map, and at the end, I publish again on myweb.io, and the people will see this
I think
Patrick froze.
temporarily.
Yeah, everybody else is
Yes.
moving but Patrick.
He had low battery. I saw that warning message. Maybe he ran out of battery.
Oh, I hope not. I thought it was my internet at first, but yeah, I guess Patrick is stuck now. All right, well, I think I can kind of pick up where he left off unless he comes back in the next moment or two. I suppose I'll give him a little bit of time. Lennie or Joachim, you have any thoughts about the brainstorming activities or anything else until Patrick gets back?
Looks very interesting to me. I mean, it's always good to capture some of this knowledge, some of the ideas are coming out of all of these meetings, right? And mapping that to a tool like that, I think, is helpful. If you find, ways, an easy process to do it, right? If it gets too burdensome, if that's more work than actually running the meeting, nobody will do it, right? But if it's easy enough, right, I can see that some simple note-taking is right there. And what I like about this is kind of structured note-taking, right? It's not just somebody writing up a whole page and then you have to read that page again, right? This is specifically saying, okay, we talked about these 5 topics, here are the outcomes, right? And here's the input for that. So yeah, it looks promising.
And it's linked. The thing is, it's all linked, so you don't
It's
have
linked.
to go
Sorry,
searching around.
sorry.
for them.
I was experiencing a power outage. So I just share the screen again and I continue from where I was, and then you will be able to cut. And
Yes,
yeah.
it worked out pretty well actually. Because
Sorry
while you're gone, we heard
sorry
from
about
Lennie and
that.
Joachim. Good thoughts, but it's all good though, Patrick. And please resume. All
I
good.
share again. Okay, I go from where I was stating. Okay, let me just. You see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So, okay. So yeah, we will be able to during the Eden Fractal Brainstorming Session to update notes. Behind each of those branch, we can have notes, but we can have also link to internet, so to URL link, like for example, Eden Creator Agendas. Here, Eden plus Fractal is to speak about the process that we have approved since 4 weeks now, I think, Dan, it's correct, 4 weeks, something like that. We have approved an Eden plus Fractal process made by Tadas Veitikunas, shout out to him.
It looks like we lost Patrick again. Did that happen? Okay. Well, I guess in the meantime, then I'll pick up for Patrick. I'm sure he'll be back in a couple minutes, but I guess he keeps losing power. Lennie, do you have any thoughts you'd like to share, or should I go into a bit of a continuation of what Patrick was speaking about?
I can only, killing time a little bit in case he pops back in. I guess, the video and the transmission and screen sharing and takes too much power for him. But I would look through mind map earlier, and he's invited me regularly, and I just simply been too flat out. But it's being developed further and further, so I got to actually start dive into that more and have a look at it. I've been looking at Obsidian as well. I picked that up from one of our meetings a week or two back. Obsidian is working the way I work. Messy, but you can connect the dots. I like that. But, we have all different brains working different ways. So this is a similar thing, more structured. So I'm going to have a look at it.
Yeah, sounds great.
Beside joining into the brainstorming, of course, on Tuesday.
Yes, absolutely. And these tools can all be helpful for us to brainstorm. I want to be respectful of everybody's time, and I know we've been here for kind of a while, so I think I'll just, if Patrick joins, then maybe you can wrap it up, but I'll just also jump into a little brief presentation that I was going to share just to summarize some things. And thanks also for looking into Obsidian too. That's really cool, Lennie, and I've been looking into Obsidian a lot. And also MindWeb, yeah. Patrick has a website at mindweb.io. You can learn more, mindweb.io, and he's been working on that for several years, and it's really exciting. He's also got a lot of new features built in as well that can greatly facilitate brainstorming meetings, like brainstorming sessions, and then just all sorts of collaborative thought and community working together to achieve shared goals. So it's very aligned with what we're doing with Eden and Hypha. I'll also share the screen briefly too, and hold on, I'm getting a little bit confused, sorry. Yeah, but basically this is the website for mindweb.io. If anybody hasn't checked it out yet, then I definitely recommend checking it out. And what Lennie was referring to with Obsidian, Obsidian's a great tool with Markdown. And just last week, I published a new page at edencreators.com/research on a project I'm working on called Eden Research, which is basically working to take great tools like Obsidian, and there's also many other great tools like mind maps can fit in this category as well, and like Rome research and so forth. So if anybody wants to check out, you can check it out at edencreators.com/research. I wrote quite a bit here, and there's also an introductory video where I explained it as well and explained the vision for this. But I think that these tools can be really helpful along with all the other tools that we're building for helping communities cooperate. I'd also recommend people check out Hypha.earth too. This is what Joachim was talking about, and Hypha in general. You can learn so much about Hypha here. They have a great YouTube channel and also lots of documentation where people can learn more. So that's at Hypha.earth. And then you can also check out DAO.hypha.earth/Eden to check out the kind of test pilot first Eden version as well. So that's DAO.hypha.earth/Eden. And I believe that currently you need to have a Telos account there at the current time, but pretty soon we'll be working with EOS accounts, and people can check out the Eden Discord once again to learn how that works. It looks like Patrick is joining us again Welcome, Patrick. I'm just sharing a bit of a presentation because you kept having the power outage. And so once I finish this, then you can wrap up your presentation, and I'll be brief and respectful of everybody's time. Sound good, Patrick?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Patrick. Yeah, so in addition to this and Hypha.earth, you can also check out the article about Hypha's DAO organization and box solution coming to EOS community through the ENF grant, with the biggest grant ever from the ENF. So you can learn much more about the announcement and what Hypha is working on there at eosnetwork.com. And I'll share these all in the description. And then this is the video that I referred to, going deep with Hypha DAO, exploring the tools and synergies of Hypha on EOS. So that's a great podcast that I recommend listening to. Also, announcement that I shared in the Discord channel is with the Eden plus Fractal process this week. We decided on a new time. We approved a proposal to change the time of Eden Fractal meetings that were previously on Wednesdays at 13 UTC. The breakout rooms will now start at 16 UTC. I made this little art here, and we'll open the breakout rooms at 15:30 UTC. So it'll be starting on Wednesday, on the 15th, I believe, or actually no, the 16th. And then you can also check out the Eden Fractal channel on the Eden Discord to see a little introduction that I shared there, where it's explaining more details. And of course, feel free to reach out with any questions. Also, please help spread the word about this new event so everybody knows as well. And then, yeah, also just summarizing what Patrick was sharing too. Patrick put out a great tweet that I encourage everybody to check out to learn more and follow up with what Patrick is leading with this brainstorming activities initiative. So you can check out this, you can retweet it, and then you can watch the introductory video for the Eden Fractal Brainstorming Sessions and explore and submit contributions to the Eden Fractal mind map, what Patrick was just showing. Of course, Patrick can talk more about that after I'm done here, but just wanted to show it. I had it loaded up in my tabs. And then lastly, I think that one of the great things, or one of the one of the things that'd be great to discuss during the upcoming brainstorming session on Tuesday and future ones is agendas. So this is the article that Patrick was speaking about. It's at edencreators.com/agenda, where basically I went and curated many proposals from community members. Whoops, looks like it messed up a little bit, but yeah, there were 6 proposals from community members, from Vlad, Dadas, and Lennie, and Felix, and myself, and Jesse. So I went ahead and wrote a little bit about agendas and how agendas can be helpful, and then curated the proposals. So perhaps during the brainstorming session, we can discuss these proposals. I'm also working on a new game called Agendas too, where we can perhaps use tokens to help us allocate time, but I'll share more details about that soon. And yeah, there's also the Bywire article where you can learn more about that too. So we got the Hypha links, the links to the brainstorming sessions, and lots of other things coming up, and also a new time. I'll stop my screen sharing now, and I hope everybody enjoyed. If you'd like to share anything else, Patrick, if we got cut off, or if Lennie or Joachim, you'd like to share anything else, then I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, thank you, Dan, for the intro about the Eden Fractal Brainstorming Session. As you said, yeah, on next Tuesday, the first one at 16 UTC, as every time. That will be the same time, 16 UTC. And that's a proof of concept. Again, we are not committed for 20 weeks in a row, but that's a proof of concept first. And maybe I will share the mind map in order that you see how that will work, those brainstorming session. Maybe, if I can share that.
Yep,
okay.
Sounds good. You can share it now.
Okay, so as you see, it's a mind map that's not new. That's the specialty of mindweb.io. I am on Pomelo season 4 coming on this Monday, 14, for season 4. 4 seasons in a row for Mindweb, and I continue to do those mind maps. And here it's a mind map for Eden Fractal, and we called it that Eden Fractal Brainstorming Session, and it's all about brainstorming activities because the mind map helps to be very focused. It's a 1-hour session, and during this session, what we will do during this session is to be very focused on the right of the mind map. On the right, you have the branch on which we will iterate. On the left, that's more meta information on the links to the Discord, to the consortium, where the proposals are introduced by the members of the Eden Fractal meetings on the Wednesday. They are doing signals to their proposal, and they post that on consortium or maybe on BBS Eden Talk. We have also the tooling. For example, the React app made by Vlad is a member of the Eden Fractal. He has created an app to push our votes on the EOS mainnet. So that's a tool, the React app. In Eden Fractal, here we have updates. That's when we do updates with Dancing Joy. We will do an Eden Fractal update number 3 coming on December 9 into the Antelope Swiss workshop that I host, and I will co-host that with Dan. So that's the left of the mind map. That's more about info. And here on the right, we will iterate. And when we will iterate on Eden creators' agendas that you have shared, Dan, just before, about the agenda, the timing. So we will be able to brainstorm again on those agendas proposal. We have also the Eden plus Fractal process that has been implemented by Tadas Veitikunas, shout out to him. And here we will do some improvements on this Eden plus Fractal process. And we have notes. And we are able to, I will be able to update those notes in consensus with what we discuss on the Eden Fractal Brainstorming Session. I do the update of the mind map, and at the end of those notes, and at the end, the mind map is again published on myweb.io, and you see the URL here. And we have also what we call proposals that are immediate and proposals that are complex. For the proposals that are immediate, we will list them, and maybe we will reach consensus very rapidly, because that doesn't need too much brain power to approve those proposals. So that's what we call it, immediate. Complex, as the term implies, that needs more diving into the proposal and more brainstorming. So this mind map is just for the moment the structure of this mind map. That's the carcass, that's the structure of this mind map with the main categories and some subcategories. But this mind map will expand, will grow, but to be always digest, that we have a memory. So the goal of the mind map is to have a collective memory of our discussions to avoid, or let's say to reduce, the Rashomon effect that's arise when we are in group, and sometimes we are forgetting what we have taken as decisions or as ideas. So all that will be collected into this mind map. So that's the goal of those brainstorming sessions. And first time Tuesday, October 15, then October 29, and so on. It's every 2 weeks, and that's a proof of concept. So we will be able to pivot if something is not going as expected, but we are committed to do that in timely manner, 1 hour, not more. And if something has to be discussed more, we move to the next session and we iterate very smart. So that's the mind map here, and that's all for me. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Patrick, for the overview of the mind map and for organizing these brainstorming sessions as well. I'm thrilled to be co-hosting them with you on Tuesdays. And yeah, I invite everybody to join. I think that there'll be a great opportunity for us to brainstorm proposals and create awesome things together with the Eden community. Lennie and Joachim, any thoughts?
Maybe I just want to add to the presentation we had from Joachim on Hypha. There was the image that I remember where we see the alignment. That's the second column of your presentation. That was the alignment. Exactly. We try also with Eden Fractal to give to the other communities that are joining us also more alignment, to be more in alignment on what we do for Eden on EOS, because Eden Fractal can also help Eden on EOS to improve. And in the toolbox of Eden Fractal, we have some tools, and one of those tools is, for example, the mind mapping. Other tool is the Eden the React app by Vlad. And in this toolbox, we can have maybe Hypha. I see that very well fitting with us. That's just my thought after the presentation of Joachim, because we need to have collaborative circles around EOS. And in our organization, or let's say DAO, we need also circles into our DAO. So what you think, Dan? Let's make a good parallel with what we are what we are doing into Eden Fractal to improve, let's say, Eden on EOS, the communities, to join us, to make some interoperability with us, collaboration. So Hypha tooling into our toolbox, or let's say in connection with our toolbox, to not be meshed, but in connection. That makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. I think that all these tools can help the Eden community and many more communities collaborate more effectively. And so I'm really excited to see how people in the community will use these tools together.
We are brainstorming, guys.
Absolutely. We're brainstorming now. We'll brainstorm a lot more on Tuesdays. Welcome also CAC. It's great to see you here. You joined towards the end of the show. We all just gave our presentations. Joachim was talking about Hypha. Patrick was talking about brainstorming sessions. I also shared some general information too about the new time. Is there anything that we'd like to discuss, or anybody have any thoughts that you'd like to share, or questions or anything like that before we wrap it up?
One thing I wanted to share here, when you talk about mind maps, Patrick, love the whole idea, and I've been working with mind maps for a long time. There's a cyberneticist, his name is Paul Pangaro. He has his own organization called Red Drummer, and he has thought about, the dynamics of these systems, and he's diving into conversation theory. Just an idea, take a look at his work. You might find some parallels to what you're trying to accomplish here with the mind map. The structured mind space is really where we're getting our thoughts down and have these information flows coming into the system and flowing out of the system. So just
yeah, Joachim, very interesting. Just to put a little context, maybe for the people watching this, mind maps, that's since Pomelo season 1 on October last year that has begun. But I have had into my mind my maps since 2018, and I use that since 2004 for all the software engineering and project that I do with my customer. We use always mind maps, because that's help for the meetings, that's help for the brainstorming, that's help for the knowledge management, the ideation, and all this stuff. So what I am giving to the community with those mind maps, I produce the mind maps myself currently. I update myself. I do the mind maps for the other people. The goal with mindweb.io is to be a collaborative online platform where the people will be able to create their mind map directly online. I am building a knowledge builder on mindweb.io where the people, just with an internet connection and their laptop, can create the mind map directly online. And those mind maps are fractal, because you have a mind map pointing to another mind map pointing to another mind map, and that's make a structure, an ecosystem of mind maps that's totally fractal. And you have also mind maps that are totally standalone. That means you are into the mind map, you cannot go elsewhere that's not pointing to other mind map. So currently that we speak, I have 16 mind map produced for mindweb.io, mind map produced for EOS Bees, for EOS Support, for EOS Vision, for Eden Fractal, Fractally Genesis 1 by Dan Larimer, that will come back very soon with Fractally. We are happy to see that coming. So I produce those mind maps. And now what I am launching, we can say, it's the brainstorming activities, because I want to use this mind map as a tool to brainstorm, to make ideation. And the first customer of all that, the first use case we had, that was the Fractally Brainstorming Session on EOS with Jesse Jaffe that I co-hosted since the beginning of the year, because we were convinced that we will be able to implement fractally on EOS. That's not dead in the water. That could come back because EOS is a very good blockchain. Why not to connect with fractally in a way when the time comes? There are some problems with the regulation currently, but when this problem with regulation will be, let's say, in alignment, I see very well coming again this interaction. And now we have the second use case is Eden Fractal Brainstorming Session, because we see now with Dancing Joy, we have launched this Eden Fractal meetings since early June. We have evolved week after week, and we are more and more structured. And now that's the perfect timing because we can discuss about the proposal, very well structured, very well committed, focused, by using a mind map that's helped the left brain, the right brain to be very in alignment. That's the power of the mind mapping. Mind mapping exists since the 70s, or maybe already before. That's heuristic schema where you put the ID into the middle of the mind map is always on a subject, and the branch around are the category about this subject. That's help you to dive into your ID. You can use mind map every day for your life, for your entire life. You can put your life into a mind map. That helps, and you can use IT systems by using mind mapping. So I want to see that use more and more, and also something coming. I am very happy. That's the mind mapping and the data analytics Web3. You can link mind map with data, because the new dollar is the data. If you are willing to manage your data better, what's better than a mind map? And connect this mind map with data analytics. For example, the bees are doing swarms on Twitter, and I am getting the metrics on those tweets, on those swarms, and I am mapping out that into a mind map. That's coming soon. So I'm very happy to use that and clear into the EOS ecosystem. We see a lot of people using mind maps also on their own, but we need to collect those data, unify it into a mind map, because the mind map is not centralized. It's just collecting the data that are resides where they are. So we are just collecting the data. So that's the beauty here. And happy to use that for the Eden Fractal, for any collaborative circles around EOS that we want to, let's say, see connected together.
All right.
Makes sense?
Yes, that makes sense to me, certainly. Thank you, Patrick, for the overview and the preview of what's coming with MindWeb and Mind Maps. And thank you also, Joachim, for mentioning Paul Pangaro, I believe you pronounced it.
Pangaro.
The theory of conversation sounds fascinating too, so I'm going to dig into that. And once again, thank you, Joachim, for joining. Really appreciate it too. Thank you, Lennie and Patrick and CUC. I think it's probably good to wrap it up to respect everybody's time, but also I don't want to cut off conversation. If anybody wants to share anything else, should we wrap it up, or does anybody else have any other thoughts you'd like to share?
Okay.
If not, we can wrap it up with something fun.
Absolutely.
Sounds
and
good.
We finish on something always fun, as always. You know that, Dan?
I do.
We finish
yes.
on something always fun at the end of this Eden Town Hall, or at the end of every meeting. At 3210, we will say in chorus, "Go Eden on EOS." Okay?
And then we can also do a Go Hypha, and then we can also do
Go Hypha, and then Go EOS, and
all right, sounds
Go
good.
Eden Fractal. Okay.
And we'll do it pretty quick too. All right.
Okay, we will be very quick, okay?
Okay, cool.
So raise your hand when you are ready, because it is
ready.
the process. Okay?
Yes. 3, 2.
Now I do the
1. 3, 2, 1. Go Eden on EOS.
On EOS.
Hey.
Okay.
And Hypha.
Okay, now
and 3, 2, 1, go
we
Hypha.
say at 3210, we say go Hypha.
3, 2, 1, 0. Go Hypha!
Go
Go
Hypha!
Okay, great.
And the last one, go Eden Fractal, okay?
Okay.
3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0.
Go Eden
Go
Fractal!
Fractal.
Fractal.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, everybody. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Joachim and Lennie and Patrick, and we'll be back for the next town hall next week. Hope everybody's enjoyed.
Anytime.
And yeah, thanks everybody so much for all the great work.
Thank you.
See you later.
Thanks.
To be continued. Bye-bye.
Thank you.